What's going on, guys? It's Smudger here, and let's talk about the Vanguard Beta, or at least the first weekend of it, which for most people has involved playing on current gen consoles, last gen. I think I'm going to refer to them as current gen, meaning, you know, your PS4s, as opposed to next gen, which in my head is still the PS5 because they're like gold dust. So I rocked up with my PS4 ready for this beta last night at about 2 AM when I'd got in. And yeah, I played a few games, probably played about an hour. And then I played another hour. And then played another hour this morning, and it just... I have a lot of feelings about it. Some of them aren't good. And we're going to go into those finer details in this video. But I do want to preface this by saying, of course, it is just a beta. I don't want anyone to think I'm just shitting on the game as a whole. It is just a beta, and if you do want to discuss any of these points in further detail, you can hop in the Discord, and we've been talking about it today, sharing our viewpoints, because I will share one guy's viewpoint, shout out Tony, because he's had an entirely different experience on PS4 to me, so I will kind of caveat that with his thoughts, which you can see in the Discord as we go. But for the most part, the consensus I've reached is consensus a lot of people have been reaching on my timeline as well, so I feel pretty comfortable sharing it. But we'll start on positives. You know, we won't start on a negative, at least. We might finish on one, but we won't start on one. And of course, it is just a base, so you know there's plenty of time for things to change. The map designs, they seem pretty good. I don't know if that's just because we've got, you know, Modern Warfare and Cold War to compare it to for like newer CODs, but they seem great. Like, I see very little issue with them, apart from that Red Star map. Is it? That's trash. It shouldn't be 6v6 is really the main takeaway there. I think trash might be a bit hard. It shouldn't be 6v6, but like, the maps are good. They're dynamic, they're fun to play. There's enough scope to flank, scope to make new kind of mini routes with the environment destruction, that you don't feel like you're pinned down by campers. Obviously the spawns are a different issue, and I think they did or are putting out a fix for that, but the actual map design themselves is not bad. I can't complain about that. I'd happily play on those maps, you know, that's a W as far as I'm concerned. The gameplay mechanics itself, so you know, the guns, they're good. I personally am a big fan of World War CODs. Like, I like them, and I always have done ever since World at War. The gunplay feels good. Obviously you're gonna have issues with balancing guns, etc. as you go on, but like, the actual gunplay itself feels perfectly fine. It all feels fluid when you get a decent run, which we'll talk about later. The grenades apparently now weigh like a ton each, because they do not go very far. But then again, I have played a lot of Cold War where you can like yeet them into the atmosphere across the map, so that might also have something to do with it. But the gunplay is great, you know, I have very few complaints with that. The actual kind of like base of the game is very, very good. Obviously there's things you could change here and there that we'll talk about, and there's some things that they'll change that I haven't even picked up on. It's just one of those things, but like, they have the basis of a good game, and I'm not sure in the Cold War alpha and beta if you could sit there and say that. It didn't seem like the same kind of strong ground foundations were there in that game, but moving into this one, it seems like it's there. They just need to change some things, improve optimization on a few things. So let's get into this negative list. I ran into Fps issues on PS4, I ran into packet loss issues on PS4, and it's not my internet, because when I was running into the packet loss, I was like, oh shit, my internet must be going funny. Hopped over onto my PC, I actually checked, I loaded up Warzone, loaded up Cold War in here, where if I'm going to get packet issues, they're going to be on Cold War, because they always are, and I was having absolutely no issue. I do have a Wi-Fi connected PS4, is the only other thing I could think it might be. But judging by how frequent it was and how like my internet was stable, there's no reason for that. The FPS issues I was having, I was stuttering all the time, I was losing frames in seemingly quiet areas, and losing even more frames when I got to gunfights, you know, and I was losing gunfights because of that. That's what we're telling ourselves. And I'm not the only one, you know, I've seen it all over Twitter. However, Tony in my Discord does disagree. He's not had any issues with them. Same with you know, graphical glitches. You know, he's had very few issues. That's good to see. You know, you want to see it performing well for someone, but that's not my experience. I know it's not a lot of people's experience. Perhaps it's just console to console, you know, if your console's capable of running it, because my console, this is the loudest it's ever sounded when I try to run this game. You can very much tell that it is not optimized for current gen consoles, which makes sense. I get it. People are moving, however slowly, to next gen when they can get their hands on it. I do understand that, and that games aren't going to be optimized for this set of consoles anymore. However, it really struggles. There's no other way about it, but I am going to reserve the majority of my judgment on that until we get the PC version next week, so I can see what we can actually do. But there are some audio issues. I think I saw J-God tweet about this as well. It feels quiet, it feels muffled, it feels like the audio is the wrong way around for teammates and enemies. It feels, yeah, it's really strange actually. It's quite difficult to place sounds quite a lot of the time. I've played around with kind of the settings a quite bit, but there's not really a huge amount of like presets to go with, and then you can switch up like your dialogue, your music, your sound effects. But I kind of rely quite heavily on having that bass boost that you play with on Modern Warfare and Cold War, purely because of my setup. You know, maybe it runs perfectly for someone that is used to it, but it doesn't feel right, and I've never had that stark difference in audio quite like this. So I'm hoping that is just kind of like a glitch they can fix. I have had quite a few graphical errors outside of kind of FPS issues where like walls and tanks and like general cover items don't appear until you're a bit closer, and then there is actually an enemy behind it and they fry you because you think it's a clear area and it's not. I'm going to presume that that is either, you know, instability within the current gen console or something they're going to fix and they're aware of. I'd be surprised if they don't. What I don't want to see is another Cold War, because that shit pisses me off. Cold War still has these issues and it's just frustrating and annoying, and not something you expect to see in a game of this size, but I'm still not that surprised. Kill streaks don't reset in the same life. I'm sure, you know, if you've been following Vanguard even vaguely, you would have seen this. It's a bit annoying. So if you get 3, 4, 5 kill streak, that's it, you're done until you die. Seems a bit stupid. I'd like to see it reset. I don't think that's too much to ask. Obviously you don't have the Cold War system anymore where you just keep racking up score until you get the kill streak. You get kind of like that classic kill streak, 3 kills, here's your UAV or intel. But I'd like to see it like roll over every time you finish kind of like your 3 kill streaks. It seems a bit stupid not to. And then of course the final one is the mini-map. If you don't know, you have 2 different mini-map styles. You have classic, and then people have dubbed it kind of Modern Warfare. Classic, where if you fired an unsuppressed gun, it appears on the mini-map, and Modern Warfare, you only appear on the mini-map if there's a UAV. I hate that. I'm just going straight up, I hate that. I think most people hate that, unless you came into the game in Modern Warfare and you don't know any different. What's the point of firing what's the point of firing a suppressed gun if you know that, you know, next to you someone's firing an unsuppressed gun and getting the same benefits, that there's no benefit to it? I don't understand it. It encourages camping, it encourages slow gameplay, it encourages people not to move. I understand that you have the compass as a kind of mid-ground, and there is a map, there's a perk that lets you see people that fire unsuppressed weapons on the mini-map. Seems kind of stupid to me. Nobody has ever asked for the mini-map to be changed, so I don't know why they started to do that. Personally, I'm a big fan of it. Do I think we'll see a change before release day? No, because they have a perk in there already. Like, it's one of those things. But as a caveat to all of the negatives I have just gone through, and I know I've been saying it throughout as well, it isn't made for this generation of console. It's just not. Even Cold War wasn't really made for it, let's be honest. It really struggled at times. I'm still pretty hopeful, pretty optimistic. Sledgehammer are usually pretty good at listening. They might not change, you know, things like the mini-map issue, and they might not even change the kill streak thing, which would be super annoying. But when it comes to kind of like listening to graphical errors, listening to like audio bugs, are usually pretty decent at listening. So I'm optimistic. I'm going to reserve kind of the majority of my judgment until the PC beta is out at least, so I can see how it performs on a slightly higher end kind of console or machine. I know that I should probably just reserve all judgment until the full game, but I'd like to see some kind of improvement in performance, if nothing else. I want to see something that really shows that this game is in a good state 2 months before release. Or will be less than 2 months, month and a half before release, because yeah, you can change a lot in a month and a half, don't get me wrong, like you can change things I can't even think about as a game developer, but there's certain things that if they're in the game now, I feel like they might be in the game at release that won't make me happy, but we'll just have to wait and see. But as always, I do want to know your thoughts on this. If you want to drop them in the comments, you can do that. If you want to come in the Discord and tell me I'm stupid for all of my lists, that's fine too. Do what you want, you know? People either love it or hate it so far. People like to make their decision very, very quickly. I'm trying to hold out and not do that. We'll see how it goes. As always, if you did enjoy the video, give it a like. Subscribe if you want to find your way back. Hope you all have a good day, and I'll see you next time. Bye.